Welcome everyone to the Electric Coaches channel. Today we're going to talk more about tweaking. I've talked to a couple of coaches around the hobby, and they offered their advice on how I should approach tweaking bases. Now normally when I tweak a base, I start by removing the flash from that base. Then I use cold pliers, flattening the prongs, and then I would use the warm pliers to finish the prongs on the base. Well, in this video, we're going to do a slightly different technique, and this technique was presented to me by a couple of coaches around the hobby. Norbert Revels, Great Lakes Electric Football League, and Jamie Ellerby of the Fat 8. And they said to me, have you tried taking warm pliers, which by the way I have on my coffee mug warmer here now. Have you tried taking those warm pliers without flashing, without clipping anything? Take the warm pliers right to the prongs and stretching those prongs a little bit. Now I've heard guys talking about pulling prongs, and I'm not really a fan of doing that personally. I don't really like pulling on my prongs like that. So I decided anyway to go ahead and give this technique a try, and I'm going to do this using these new Ghost bases by Tudor, these Ghost rookie bases. And before this video, offline, I had tweaked a Ghost base using this technique by just taking hot pliers straight to the prongs without flashing and pulling the prongs. Now I'm going to race this Ghost base against my Buzzball Speed Diamond base that I tweaked using my traditional technique of flashing first, then cold pliers, and then using warm pliers later. So we're going to run these figures real quick, and let's see what kind of result we got. You see that? Ghost base got out in front really quick. Let me reach up here and get this guy back off the table. And let's run this base again. Make sure we don't have any debris on this Buzzball Speed Diamond here. Now remember, this Buzzball Speed Diamond was tweaked with a different technique than this Ghost base. Let's run them again. Really close, really close. But that Ghost base has got nice speed. And by the way, this 500 board, I have the motor turned up moderately. The motor isn't cranked all the way up high. So I want to see how my bases respond when the board is running moderately. So what we're going to do, we're going to take these new Ghost bases, and we're going to tweak one of these bases on camera for you to see the technique. And we're also going to put one of these bases under the microscope. But remember, we're not going to flash. We're going to take the hot pliers right off the coffee mug warmer here and go right to the prongs using hot pliers without flashing. And we're going to pull on these prongs a little bit to see if we can get one of these bases to match up against one of those two bases there, either this Buzzball Speed Diamond or that other Ghost base over there. This is the underside of the Tudor Ghost base. And if you look closely at the outer shell of this base, you'll see this large piece of flash going right along the edge here of the base. That's not a problem. We can use a pair of hobby scissors to trim that flash off. But most importantly, if you look at the prongs, especially here on the front of the base, you'll see that those prongs are clear of any flash. And the same goes for the back prongs. These prongs on this base are basically flash free. So for this technique, using the hot pliers I'm expecting the hot pliers to work well. But I'm not going to tweak this particular base you see here under the microscope, mainly because of the amount of flash that's on the shell of the base, although I can trim that off like I said earlier. I'm going to use the bases that you see on this sprue right here. I'm going to take these bases, or one of them, and I'm going to tweak this base using this hot plier technique only, no flash. The shell of this base has flash on it, but not as much as the one you saw under the microscope. Okay, so I might just take this base over here on the right. We're going to use this one. We're going to get our hot pliers and start pulling and flattening these prongs here. I took the two bases off of the sprue and laid them here before you. And I'm going to use a Haiti Repro defensive back to test one of these bases. And I'm using this type of figure because of the balanced nature of it. It's one of the most balanced figures in the hobby, as you can see. All right, it's not a custom figure. It's a standard Haiti Repro defensive back. So we're going to move that base over here. And we're going to run test this base and match it up in resistance against the two bases that you have seen run earlier in the video. There's a little bit of flash on the body of the shell of the base. And I can get my hobby scissors and trim off that flash. I don't want to put a lighter near it because we are supposed to be tweaking this base with hot pliers and no lighter to the prongs, right? Okay. All right. So I use hobby scissors here to trim off that excess plastic along the edge there. Okay, so what we're going to put our base, our figuring base on the board. We're going to run it, see what it does. Okay. Ran pretty good on its own. And the prongs have not been touched yet. So now we're going to match it up against the Invisibase you have seen earlier run. And this one has been tweaked with the hot pliers. The pliers, by the way, are still sitting on the coffee mug warmer. So let's see what kind of resistance we get. Okay, as you can see, this Carolina Panther figure, okay, same pose, Haiti Repro defensive back, matched up, one-on-one. It's got pushed back. So this base is clearly a stronger base, right? All right, so we're going to bring in our other Haiti Repro defensive back. This is the Richard Sherman figure, okay? Mounted on the Buzzball speed down the base. So we're going to match it up, see what happens. Okay, everybody is beating this guy. So we're going to set our Richard Sherman figure over here. There's no need to even race these. We don't, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it anyway. Let's go ahead and race. Let's see what kind of outcome we get. Okay, still, we know that this guy is not ready. All right, so waiting for our pliers to warm. Let's test our pliers and see if they're ready or not. No, not quite. Set them back down on the table. This other base, we're gonna do the same thing to it later offline. While we're waiting for the pliers to warm, I want to show you some other pliers here. This is a set of smooth jaw pliers, 3/16 was it 3/16 of an inch thick head, and these are your Xeron pliers for get that really good bite. They're almost like needle nose pliers. They're really good for finishing prongs. And you have your standard pliers here. This head, the jaws are a little bit thicker. These are 3/16 of an inch, and now I believe this is a 1/4 of an inch right here. And we got needle nose pliers also. Helps with shaping your prongs. Helps you to get down. Helps you to grab individual prongs and maybe put a curl on the prongs. Whatever it is you need to do, you know, any fine tuning, needle nose pliers are good for that. Also, let's see. I'm gonna get out our scale here. I'm gonna weigh our figure. You know, weight is everything in the hobby of electric football. Like while we're waiting for our pliers to warm up, just gonna move around a little bit. Okay, let's weigh our player. This figure comes in at 2.4 grams. Haiti Repro defensive back and base. Let's weigh our Carolina Panther figure in its base. That's 2.6. So this figure is painted. So that's the additional 0.2 of a gram is the paint. And let's weigh our Seahawk figure, 2.6 grams. That's with paint. But the 0.2 of a gram doesn't really make much of a difference. I'm sure that once I tweak this base, it's going to perform in a pushing battle against these other two figures over here. And I'm sure it'll do well. All right, so let's put a scale away. And remember, we're not going to use our lighter. Hot pliers only. Okay. Pliers are ready. I'm going to take off my clamps. And we're going to grab the back prong by itself, and we're going to squeeze down on it, and we're going to pull a little bit. Going to grab the next prong over. And the pliers are cooling off as I do this. So you want to be precise and quick. All right. Pliers are warm now. I'll put them back on the warmer. I did one side of the rear prongs. All right, trying to put these pliers back down on the coffee mug warmer. All right. So what I had done, I had the base turned with the inside of the rear prongs facing up, right? So I got my hot pliers in on this side. Although both of the jaws and the pliers are warm. But the place where my thumb is pressing down at, these top jaws, I'm using my needle nose pliers for this demonstration. But the top jaws were pressing down on the inside of the prongs here. So the next go round, I'm gonna flip the base over. See, flip it over, and I'm gonna do that same technique on the outside of this prong at the rear of the base, right in here. All right. So for right now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna run that base real quick to see if any changes have been made to the base. Let's see what happens. Okay, got a little bit more stable movement. Let's check resistance real quick. All right, didn't get pushed back as fast like it did last time. Moving down, see what happens. Okay, it's holding its ground already. Let's put him up against Richard Sherman here. Still losing the pushing battle, but that's all right. All we've done so far was we flattened the inside of these prongs here. So we gotta flip it over and do the outside of these back prongs, and then we're gonna do the same thing to these front prongs. When you pull on these prongs, you gotta be careful not to pull so hard that you overstretch the prong or you break the prong from the shell of the base. So this video can't show you how much pressure to put on the prong when you pull it. That's something you're gonna have to find for yourself when you do your own tweaking. You also want to be careful to make sure you apply the same amount of equal pressure on both sides of the base, because you don't want the prong on one side to be too longer than the other side. Then you'll have a wobbly figure, see? So if that happens, you're going to have to go to the other side of the base, the shortest side of the base, and either pull those prongs out further, or you just may have to use your lighter and slightly melt those prongs that you accidentally pulled to be longer. All right, so while we're still waiting for our pliers to heat up again, we're going to run this base again. We're going to continue to monitor it, because also after the plastic cools, base performance changes also. Let's see what happens. Okay, still running the same. Bit choppy though. Let's match it up, head up. It's holding its ground a little bit better. Looks good. So we'll be back once the our pliers heat up. While I was offline, I went ahead and I applied my hot pliers to the opposing side of these rear prongs on this Tudor Ghost base right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and test out our progress and see what type of resistance we have now. Okay, it's holding up. Just that little bit of tweaking that we've done so far on the rear prongs. Okay, it's holding its ground. Let's do a run test. We're going to sprint this base against this fully tweaked Ghost base. See what happens. Okay, still slower than our fully tweaked base. So now I'm going to get the hot pliers and I'm going to hit these front prongs, and we're going to test the base again. So each time we do something to the base, we're going to test it. So I got my pliers here, it's been sitting on the warmer. Take off my clamps, flip over our base, grab a prong, and pull them a little bit, just a little bit. And get the other prongs here. Trying to be as quick and as precise as possible while these pliers are at their warmest. All right. Get those prongs again. Okay. Set the figure down. Because then remember, we got to come back. We're going to flip the base over, and we're going to get the prongs on this side as well. So we can lay the figure down real quick. That's going to give it time to cool off before we run our test. I'm going to put these pliers back on the warmer. All right. I want to inspect my prongs. Let's see, here's another thing with these, when you apply hot pliers to your prongs, sometimes it can cause your prongs to warp and they'll cross over on top of each other. If you look at my fingers, prongs are like this, straight ahead, right? And when you put heat on them, it may cause those prongs to warp and they'll cross over. So you want to inspect and make sure those prongs aren't crossing each other, and make sure your prongs aren't uneven. You can set the figure down and tap it like that sometimes and see if you got any wobble. All right. Let me see and get my needle and those pliers here. I'm going to do a little bit of adjusting, aligning, if you will. Prong alignment is very important. All right. Positioning and alignment. Okay. Set the base down, clear our board. Let's run it. Okay, the takeoff was a little bit faster. All right, let's match him up in strength. Oh, there, he's winning now. Let's see what he gets, see what he does. He's now winning the pushing battle against this base that was beating it earlier. Let's get our Richard Sherman figure here. Man, can you beat him? Okay, this base is showing promise. And we still have to do the inside prongs with the hot pliers. All right, let's do a quick run test. Let's sprint. Let's see what we got. Okay, the initial takeoff was good. Let's try it again. But in the distance, the Panther figure wins every time. See? Okay. I like what I'm seeing. So look, we still got our pliers warming again. So I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna hit those prongs on the inside there. And we're gonna test it again and see what else we get. We're now ready to do the inside of these front prongs on this Tudor Ghost base. So let me get my pliers off the heater, coffee mug warmer. All right, so we're gonna flip our base over. We're gonna take our pliers and grab each prong by themselves, pull them a little bit. Prong. Make sure we got good alignment. All right. Make sure our prongs didn't warp. Also, your prongs, when they warp, they'll bend on you. Sometimes, you know, that slope, that back slope you want, from the front to the back. Sometimes when you heat your prongs, that slope will reverse, almost like the prongs are being reverse tweaked. So you want to take our fingers here and do a little sweeping action. Flip the base back over. Do a little fine tuning here. Because we want to maintain that slight curl to the rear. Want the prongs to sweep down this way. This encourages forward movement. Okay. Check for alignment and balance. All right. Let's get our Carolina Panther figure here. Let's match him up. See how much progress he's made. Well, he's winning. Make sure he's not lopsided. Okay, we're in the pushing battle. Let's get Richard Sherman. See if we can beat him. Okay, he's hanging on. All right, let's touch our prongs again. Let's do a sprint test. Let's see what we have. Still not faster than the Carolina Panther figure, so it appears. Right, let me get my needle nose here. I'm trying to get this base to not only be stronger, but I also want it to be faster. Check my positioning of my prongs. Because sometimes if the face of the prong is laying on the board, that could cause drag, and that could make your base a little slower. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot of good resistance and good speed. All right. Run him again. Now he wants to loop. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this base offline. Try it again. Okay, it's got more resistance. I'm going to take this base offline. And I'm going to do some more tweaks to it to bring it out, to get everything out of this base. I don't want it looping like we just saw a moment ago. I want this base to be able to run with this guy. All right. But if this is what the base is going to give me, I still can use it as a corner or possibly a safety, or maybe a short yardage tight end or something like that. So for now, we're going to stop here, and I'll be back later with more. I'm Mo. Thanks for watching.